Good evening and thanks for joining us on Nationwide today on the network service of the NTA. I'm Elizabeth Omori. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's begin with the containment of COVID-19. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control has confirmed new cases of coronavirus in Nigeria, one case in Lagos and one in Ogun State. One case is a returning traveler and second is a case of contact of a previously confirmed case. The latest case figures brings the total number of confirmed cases in Nigeria to 42. And still on COVID-19, a high-powered presidential task force for the control of the coronavirus pandemic has embarked on an assessment tour of the State House, Nigeria's seat of government. This is the first time that 12-man member task force, chaired by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, is visiting the State House since its inauguration. State House correspondent Jide Oni further reports that members of the team who came in 2 coaster buses spent some time visiting offices and talking to the occupants. The task force did not give any reason for the action and declined comments when approached by journalists. The task force has a mandate of 6 months to deliver on the assignment, including the coordination of multi-sectorial and intergovernmental approach towards containing the coronavirus pandemic. The Senate has adjourned for 2 weeks to reconvene on the 7th of this month of April as a preventive measure against the spread of COVID-19. Both chambers of the National Assembly had last week restricted visitors from entering the premises of the National Assembly, with Senate suspending all public hearings. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo reports.
The Senate reconvened for Tuesday's plenary amidst palpable tension created by the rampaging COVID-19. It immediately dissolved into a closed-door session which lasted 2 hours, after which the President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, reports on the outcome of the executive session.
The Senate further resolved to adjourn sitting for 2 weeks from today due to the pandemic of coronavirus ravaging the entire world. Federal government should give financial and other resource assistance to the states in the fight against the virus.
The atmosphere in the Senate chamber further became sober when the majority leader announced the death of the senator representing Cross River North Senatorial District, Senator Rose Oko, who died in the United Kingdom.
To the chairman on our committee on trade and investment.
At the Senate press corps, Chairman Senate Committee on Health Ibrahim Oloriegbe announced that no senator has tested positive to the COVID-19 virus.
So don't let us sensationalize the issues of what they are writing in the social media and so on and so forth. And so far, I must tell you that there's no senator that has tested positive, as far as my knowledge is concerned, as at this morning.
Yes. We have agencies of government in the various airports, and none of these agencies of government have complained to the Senate that so and so have refused to follow the due process.
At the moment, no senator has exhibited symptoms of the virus. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
And the House of Representatives has passed the Emergency Economic Stimulus Bill 2020, which made provisions to put in place measures to alleviate financial burden on citizens in response to economic downturn occasioned by the coronavirus outbreak. The bill, which witnessed accelerated passage as it went through first, second and third reading at plenary Tuesday, was sponsored by the Speaker, Femi Gbajabiamila, and the entire leadership of the House. Other features of the bill include suspension of import duty on medical items needed to tackle the disease, protect employment status of Nigerians who might become unemployed, and provide temporary tax relief to companies and individuals to alleviate economic consequences. Plenary also adopted a number of resolutions following a motion by House leaders on coronavirus. Among the resolutions is a call on the federal government to issue federal government colleges across the country as emergency isolation centers for coronavirus disease. In the meantime, House has adjourned plenary to 7th of April 2020, but may reconvene within the period should there be any emergency. The Monetary Policy Committee today has concluded its second meeting for the year in what it viewed to be the most crucial for now as the coronavirus pandemic continues to affect economies globally. The committee maintained the MPR at 13.5% and all other parameters. It also maintained the cash reserve rate at 27.5%, giving it time for the impact of the review to manifest. Liquidity ratio was retained at 30% and asymmetric corridor at plus 200 and minus 500. It was unusual seeing the Federal Secretariat as most workers have complied with the compulsory stay-at-home on non-essential public servants. Adebola Brooksland Sunday has details.
The Federal Secretariat houses most of the federal civil servants. On arrival, workers are meant to use the hand sanitizer before they gain entry.
Bring out your ID card, let me see.
Unlike before, the gate is partially closed to be able to screen them based on their grade levels. At the main entrance to the office of the head of the civil service of the Federation, affected workers were asked to turn back by the security operatives to ensure full compliance.
It's a circular. Officers on grade level 1 to 12 should stay at home to stay safe in respect of this coronavirus, alias COVID-19. So that's why I'm here with my operatives to ensure compliance.
Let's say from 13 to 17, they are not that much. They can know how to work it out.
Most of the offices are being locked because of the fear of the coronavirus of
That's the best any government can do, is to let its people go home so that they can be on a safer side.
I already have some files piled up on my table, which they passed yesterday, and we got the information late, so I have to come and clear the works on my table.
Although the Federal Civil Service has about 70% of its staff on grade level 12 and below, it is at the discretion of heads of all agencies to determine which staff is performing essential duties. Adebola, Brooksland Sunday, NTA News.
Thank you, Adebola. Prevention is better than cure. This was the summation of discussion on the topic update on COVID-19 in Nigeria, as guests reiterated the need for Nigeria to do everything within its capacity to contain further spread of COVID-19. Ikemini Williams has details.
Wake of the coronavirus pandemic in Nigeria. From one index case in February 24 to over 40 cases as of March 24, guests blame this increase in number of cases on lagged border closure. They express skepticism and capacity of the country's health sector in case of escalated infection and therefore insist on precautionary measures such as social distancing, interstate border closure, and self-isolation to avoid human-to-human contact of the virus.
For example, Lagos State, which is about the epicenter of where the infection is now, has gone ahead with serial lockdown of the state. But I think we need to do more by making sure that we contain movement. Our markets are still opened, the transport system, and we have other areas that have not been covered.
While admonishing citizens to cooperate with government and health providers on the fight against COVID-19, Professor Nasidi also called on private health facilities with requisite medical equipment and support to back up present isolation centers.
All our treatment facilities, except one in Lagos, do not have up to 70% of what is required to say this is, a real isolation facility. No respirators, or if there are, you can't say you have a treatment facility that has only 2 or 3 respirators. So we are pleading with the governors that no joke, this is the time to really, put this in place. We need now to start. If you don't have, we buy. If we cannot buy, we start looking for those who can give us. And I think the WHO, World Bank, all these are there. We should start looking for more respirators, more gadgets that can save this, more PPEs, and so on and so forth. We don't have enough of this on ground.
The U.S. government has spent a significant amount of funds building infrastructure in the country to support HIV. We know some of those platforms can help us address corona, maybe in the testing. How prepared are we? Have we started having that discussion? Are we negotiating?
They say there could not be a better time for health experts and philanthropists to come together with homegrown ideas and resources to tackle the raging pandemic. Experts further preached the need for constant decontamination of self-isolating spaces. In Abuja, Kemini Williams, NTN News.
And we're not done with the containment of COVID-19 yet. Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mohammed Musa Bello, has directed that staff from grade level 1 to 12 are to stay at home starting Tuesday, the 24th of March 2020, till further notice. The minister gave the directive at a media briefing in Abuja. He, however, says all workers from grade level 1 to 12 on essential duties such as water supply, fire service, security, medical services, environmental protection, emergency services, FEMA and others are exempted from the stay-at-home policy. Shuaib Onozi Yakuba reports that the administration has also banned all gatherings in public parks, gardens, bars, nightclubs and football viewing centers as part of the social distance measures. This is in addition to shutting down of shops in the markets and neighborhood centers in the FCT, with the exemption of those who sell essential commodities and medicines and must strictly abide by laid-down measures. And Kano State Government has debunked rumor on a suspected case of COVID-19 at Malam Aminu Kano International Airport. Special Advisor to the Governor on Media, Saliu Tanko Yakasai, made this known in an exclusive interview with NTA News. Fatima Sanusi Karaye reports.
Suspected case is of a 17-year-old boy who flew from Lagos to Kano with Air Peace this Tuesday morning. The boy was said to have vomited in the aircraft. Upon landing, the pilot refused to open the airplane for safety reasons and called for the attention of Center for Disease Control CDC team of experts to examine the boy. He was then rushed to the airport isolation center where a preliminary test was run, and it was determined by the co-chair, Kano State Task Force on COVID-19, Professor Abdulrazak Habib, as negative and did not display any symptoms of the deadly virus. Special Assistant to Kano State Governor Salihu Tanko Yakase shed more light on the issue.
Preliminary investigation revealed that the passenger was a first-time flyer in an airplane and also has a little bit of history of malaria. So that led to the situation.
Taking extra precaution, the CDC team collected data of all passengers on board and spread them with disinfectant as well as the aircraft. The best safety measures still remains, as experts say, stay at home, practice social distancing. In Kano, Fatima Sanusi Garai, NTA News.
And joining me live now is Fatima Sanusi Karaye in Kano to give us a situation report. Hello, Fatima. Fatima, if you can hear me clearly, can you tell us how did the residents of Kano absorb the news of the passenger?
Well, before the news was debunked, there was panic. Everybody was afraid. COVID-19 is real and it is in Kano. But the state government debunked the rumor and everything is calm. But these experts are not taking it easy. They are really trying because emergency can come anytime. So everybody is ready, is getting ready for any emergency that may come up.
Okay. All right. Now, what is the situation with domestic flights? What is the situation with
domestic flights have continued as normal. There is no change in flights. The only thing is that Kano City is a little bit quiet because just now the government has ordered all civil servants to stay at home for 14 days.
Okay, so are they complying? Are residents of Kano complying?
Well, the situation here in Kano is normal. As though it's a little bit quiet, people are staying at home because the state government said all civil servants should stay at home for 14 days. So if, all the social gathering, there is no social gathering, the markets are quiet. Some people go to the airport to travel, but there is no much traveling.
All right, Fatima, thank you so much for your time. Thank you very much. Moving on, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority says there are flights that are considered essential for which permission for landing may be sought and granted. The category of flights include aircraft in a state of emergency, overflights and operations related to humanitarian services, medical and relief services. Others are alternative aerodromes identified in the flight plan in the case of extended diversion, technical stops, cargo flights and other safety-related operations without passengers disembarking. The Aviation Authorities says requests for such approvals must be directed to the Minister of Aviation, who is the sole authority to grant approval. The Aviation Authority mandated all airplanes to be disinfected before boarding, while passengers are advised to adhere to screening procedures. The coronavirus pandemic is no doubt forcing countries to take decisive steps at containing the spread of the virus. While it continues to take its toll on airports, the federal government is not left out in this direction as a total restriction placed on international flights has taken effect. Now let's join Adiola Omoki Kone Akere at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, to give us a situation reports. All right, we'll join Adiola later. Let's now join Hingino John Adams in Lagos for more reports.
Thank you, Elizabeth. We as well begin here with COVID-19. The directive by Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu for civil servants on grade level 1 to 12 to stay at home for a period of 2 weeks has received maximum compliance. Nerot Nina Musa, who visited the Lagos State Secretariat at Lausa, reports that some senior civil servants were seen at their duty posts, filling in for the absence of those directed to stay at home.
This is the situation at the Lagos State Secretariat. On a regular working day, the number of people trooping into the Secretariat during the early hours of the day would have been a large one. But for the directive by the Lagos State government for civil servants on grade levels 1 to 12 to stay at home as a means of curtailing the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. Speaking with some civil servants on grades level 13 and above, they said the compliance rate is satisfactory, that they would continue to collaborate with Governor Sanwo-Olu at ensuring that the fight against the pandemic is faced head-on.
So far, if you look in the yard today, a lot of the senior staff are currently on ground, filling out for the roles that their junior officers would have been playing, but also, trying to ensure that everything still runs smoothly. In spite of the current occurrence that is going on across the globe and also in Nigeria, the government is trying to ensure that services continue uninterrupted.
People are complying. Can you see that people who are on their various offices, they were sitting down, do one or two things. So I have to be in office this morning, do what I'm supposed to do on time.
They expressed optimism that with a large number of civil servants away at their homes, the idea of social distancing, among other hygienic practices, would be achieved with ease. In Lagos, Nerut Nina Musa, NTA News.
Now away from COVID-19, poor knowledge on the causes, prevention and treatment of tuberculosis is why the disease has remained a threat to public health. Annie Daniels reports that this factor was raised by a medical expert in Lagos while speaking on the prevalence of the ailment in Nigeria.
Tuberculosis, an airborne disease, has been in existence for centuries. The World Health Organization estimates that in 2018, nearly 10 million people died from the disease globally. In Nigeria, about 450 tuberculosis cases are diagnosed annually, and despite availability of free treatment, the disease remains a global epidemic.
The best performance we have had in finding out these cases is that we have seen 120,000 last year. So over 300,000 are still missing. And if we do not know who these people are, if we do not find them out, put them on treatment, they will be there spreading the infection in their communities, in their homes, or wherever they are.
A sizable percentage of Nigerians claimed ignorance of tuberculosis.
I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about tuberculosis. I just heard about TB.
And for those with little knowledge of the disease, isolating sufferers, they say, is the solution.
When you carry it, people will be avoiding you. One of my uncles died out of it around 1989. Yes, 1989. He was coughing and vomiting blood. After some days, he died.
Dr. Omujekwe lauds the national policy on tuberculosis, but points out that creating the much-needed awareness remains key to stamping out tuberculosis in Nigeria.
Every health worker, every stakeholder, whether in public sector or in private sector, has to be on the alert to identify cases of TB. And we don't even have to wait until they come, which is called passive case finding. We need to be active in looking out for them. We have to go out, educate the communities.
Prolonged fever, weight loss and cough are among symptoms of tuberculosis. And with early detection and treatment, a sufferer can live a normal life again. In Lagos, Annie Daniels, NTA News.
That's it from Lagos. We now take a break. Nationwide continues after that.
Coronavirus, also known as COVID-19, has been declared by the World Health Organization as a global pandemic. While clinical trials are ongoing for a vaccine and a possible cure, there is no known treatment for the coronavirus. Nigeria has recorded some of these cases, and people are advised to take these preventive measures to keep themselves safe and contain the further spread of the virus. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water or use hand sanitizers all the time. Maintain social distancing. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Practice respiratory hygiene. If you have fever, cough, and difficulty breathing, seek medical care early. Do not panic. Stop the spread of unconfirmed news. Follow the official government news outlets and report all cases immediately. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
Socio-economic impact of COVID-19 is the focus this week on NTA Tuesday Live. Where is the nation in the effort to curtail the spread of COVID-19? Answers and more tonight on NTA Tuesday Live at 10:30 p.m. Don't miss it.
My name is Giato Adeza Adams, the General Manager, Corporate and Strategic Communications, Nigerian Port Authority. As regards the land borders closure, available statistical data from APMT, which is one of our terminal operators that is involved in container handling terminal, has recorded an increase of 200 TEUs of cargoes into their terminal as a result of cargo diversion from the vessels originally meant for neighboring countries. That shows you that the terminal operators is going to have an increase in revenue, which is accrued to the terminal, and at the same time, Nigerian Port Authority will equally benefit from the revenue increase. So that is the benefit we have derived from the border closure.
Nigerians,
signs. Coronavirus is dangerous. It can kill. When you see this sign, high fever, cough, shortness of breath, drowsiness, pneumonia, don't panic, don't hide, don't embark in self-medication. Promptly visit the nearest medical facility. Report all cases to the nearest hospital. Prevention is key. Avoid contact with infected persons. Avoid crowded areas as much as possible. Wash your hands regularly. Use hand sanitizers. Your life is precious. Stay alive. Live long. Live right. This message is sponsored by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture and the Nigerian Film Corporation. Nigerian Film Corporation, powering possibility.
Thanks for staying with us. Now to security. Troops of the Land, Air and Sea component of Operation Lafia Dole and Sector 4 Multinational Joint Task Force have killed 54 and captured 4 Boko Haram terrorists within the last 7 days. The coordinator, Defense Major Operations, Major General John Enenche, stated this in Abuja while providing a periodic update on ongoing joint operations of the armed forces and other security agencies. The coordinator noted that 48 of the terrorists were killed by troops of Sector 4 Operation Lafia Dole in an encounter in Chumot, Niger Republic.
With the facilities to quarantine and then to eventually treat. So, and then as a backup, like we are having in other countries to enforce, if there is going to be a lockdown, yes, we have the resources to ensure that the lockdown is effective if it comes up.
Major General John Enenche notes that the Land, Air and Sea component of Operation Lafia Dole and Sector 4 Multinational Joint Task Force have eliminated 54 and captured 4 Boko Haram members within the last 7 days.
Troops of Sector 4 Multinational Joint Task Force also successfully repelled a Boko Haram terrorist attack at Tumo in the Republic of Niger. During the attack, 48 terrorists were invalidated, that is killed, while 4 others were captured alive by the troops.
The Defense Headquarters stressed that the operations were intelligence-driven and appealed for timely and accurate information from the public. From the Defense Headquarters in Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
In line with federal government's directives on social gatherings with a view to curb the spread of COVID-19, the Commandant General of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, Abdullahi Gana Muhammadu, has directed the deployment of 9,500 personnel across the country. The Commandant gave the directive to zonal and state commanders to ensure compliance by churches, mosques, recreation centers, shopping malls, open markets and departmental stores, among others, on social distancing and congregation of not more than 50 persons. Other measures like stationing of ambulances at the highways and airports is being boosted with the deployment of mobile surveillance vehicles for monitoring movement and rapid response to emergencies. He urged the service to synergize with sister agencies to ensure success of the task ahead. He assured personnel of their protection in the line of duty as precautionary measures have been put in place to protect personnel from being infected. You're still watching Nationwide on NTA, and Zulai in Kaduna has the next set of reports for us. Hello, Zulai.
Elizabeth, and welcome to Kaduna. In compliance with the sit-at-home order to prevent the spread of coronavirus, traders at the popular Sheikh Abubakar Mahmoud Gumi Market, Kaduna, today kept shops under lock and key. Ahmed Umar Kudem monitors the situation and other measures to prevent the spread of the disease.
Although no case of coronavirus has been recorded in Kaduna, the state government has taken some measures to prevent the disease from taking any root and spread in the state. Part of it is the ban on large gatherings, religious services, and business activities in the markets, except those selling food items and drugs.
The state government has decided to move from advice to actual enforcement of its restrictions on large gatherings, especially in churches and mosques.
A visit to Mahmoud Gumi Market indicates total compliance with the directive, as the market and some major shopping plazas remain under lock and key.
And it will have to prevent the virus, because the measure so far is very good. We have to cooperate with governments, and we have to cooperate with ourselves, because if it happens,
the people that will suffer it. There is also substantial compliance by non-essential service workers and those on level 12 and below as they remain at home. At the State Secretariat, only the management staff reported to work as directed by the state government.
You can see the place is not full because of the directives. Many workers from level 12 downward have not come to work today.
Schools have been shut down, while some major streets in the metropolis witness low vehicular movement devoid of the usual hustle and bustle. In Kaduna, Ahmad Umar Kudang, NT News.
And still on coronavirus, about 500 children have been evacuated from various Almajiri schools in Kaduna to their respective states of origin as part of preventive measures against the spread of the deadly coronavirus. The decision to evacuate the children is in line with the outcome of a stakeholders meeting between religious leaders and Kaduna State government. Amina Saidu Abubakar reports.
Among the children is 8-year Hassana Abubakar. She told NTA News that she came into Kaduna from Kogi State, away from parental care, in search of Islamic knowledge. Congestion, lack of personal and environmental hygiene are visible characteristics of the school she attends. Hassana and other children are happy that they will be reunited with their families. Kaduna State Commissioner for Women Affairs and Social Development, Hajia Hafsid Baba, says the exercise is an ongoing one and will be strictly enforced.
And people need to understand this is a pandemic. So the essence of doing that is to safeguard against any eventuality.
For Hassana and the rest of the children, coronavirus pandemic has paved the way for them to reunite with their families after years of separation. In Kaduna, Amina Saidu Abubakar, NTA News.
And we're back to Elizabeth in Abuja for more on Nationwide.
Thank you, Sulai. Rivers State government has announced closure of parks, nightclubs and cinemas beginning from Tuesday, March 24, 2020 till further notice. Governor Nyesom Wike, who gave this directive in a broadcast, said all religious groups should stop all forms of open worship. Ogede Nyekwere reports that these are part of measures to prevent COVID-19 in the state.
The consultative meeting of the governor with all religious leaders in the state to further ensure the adherence to measures adopted to prevent COVID-19. The governor announced that all forms of social gatherings are also banned within this period.
All public parks, nightclubs, and public cinemas in the state are to remain closed. Local government chairmen are hereby directed to ensure that public burials and weddings do not take place in the local government areas.
The governor said in view of the fact that the disease spreads fast through body contact, social distance has become imperative if we are to contain the spread. From Tuesday, March 24th, 2020, surveillance posts will be set up across the land borders of the state, seaports and jetties. In Port Harcourt, Ogede Nyekwere, NTA News.
Still on containment of COVID-19, passengers' number have dropped drastically for about 50% at the Idu train station Abuja as a result of the coronavirus. Correspondent Uninaya Kalu Oka, who was at the station, reports that the drop has not affected movement, with federal government scaling up precautionary measures to check the spread of the virus.
The Nigerian Railway Corporation has stepped up precautionary measures against the spread of the virus in all their stations. From the entrance to the departure hall at the Idu train station, passengers and officials of the Nigerian Railway Corporation are made to follow the basic protective measures against coronavirus.
People are compliant and not voters.
We don't encourage passengers moving from one coach to the
Inside the train, some passengers used facial masks, while some bought 2 tickets in order to maintain social distancing.
I just want to relax on my back. I pay for these 2 seats.
We have appreciated the government has taken the measures
in making people to comply, to protect themselves.
The seats are vacant as the level of passengers has dropped in the last 2 days from more than 5,000 passengers daily to about 1,700 passengers now.
The drop is so drastic because yesterday we had only 1,700 passengers from both ends. When I said from both ends, that is from those coming into Abuja and those going out of Abuja. We are running our normal schedules.
The station may have taken precautionary measures, but how far with the cab drivers who pick passengers? How prepared are the taxi drivers? The situation is said to be that of nonchalancy, as the drivers and traders outside the station seem to be spiritual about the virus.
God will see for us, all of us.
Okay.
Madam.
We are just putting our mind to God that God will protect us, but there's some equipment that they have been giving to us to protect our mouth. And
why are you not putting it on?
I leave it in my office.
You left the cleanser and the mask.
Are
you aware of the need for social distancing?
Aware of the virus, but we left things for God.
As the train keeps running daily, the corporation says it will continue to keep up with the precautionary measures against the spread of COVID-19. Oyinaya Kaloka, NTA News.
Let's now join Mahmoud Ibn Mohammed in Bauchi, who will bring us up to date on the state governor's test result. Mahmoud, if you can hear me clearly, could you just give us an update on the test result? Mahmoud, if you can hear me clearly.
Thank you, studio. Well, since the announcement of the governor's isolation yesterday, the entire city of Bauchi, went into shock, but after some moments, everybody went into prayers, hoping and praying that the test results, will come out negative. And as I'm talking to you at the moment, the entire Bauchi city is at a standstill. The activities are no longer going on as normal, and people are expecting the outcome of the clinical test, thinking that it might come out negative. But I can assure you that the people of Bauchi are praying for the governor, at the same time commending him for going into self-isolation, which according to them will save the spread of the disease in the state.
Now, you sound very optimistic. Now that we know that the result is not out, is there anxiety, fear?
Sorry, come again?
Now that we know that the result is not out yet, is there anxiety or fear amongst the residents?
Yeah, definitely there are anxieties and fears over the outcome of the result. But, based on what the governor did, people are praying, hoping that the result might be negative. And according to, some reports, all the governor's aides that were together with him on that same aircraft have also gone into self-isolation.
Now, I would like to ask you, as contact tracing began in the state, has contact tracing begun in the state? Talking about people that have had contacts with the governor.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that had contact with the governor, since his return from the trip. But like I said, all his aides that were together with him on the aircraft and those that, he met as soon as, immediately after his return, almost all of them have gone into self-isolation. And one thing that might interest you to note is that the situation has really awakened the consciousness of people here in Bauchi, because almost people are now, trying to go with the medical advice of the World Health Organization, improving their personal hygiene.
All right, Mahmoud, thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Let's Let's now go to Benue State. The government has appealed to members of the public to keep to social distance rules by avoiding large gatherings and unnecessary travels as part of measures to avoid the spread of COVID-19. Commissioner for Health and Human Services, Dr. Sunday Onagbo, said this while briefing newsmen after a meeting with Governor Samuel Autumn at the Government House in Makurdi. Ben Anya reports.
Following the ravaging spread of coronavirus across the globe, including Nigeria, the Benue State government has taken a number of measures to prevent its spread, including regular briefings by the Commissioner for Health and Human Services, Dr. Sunday Ongbabo. The Commissioner urged the public to observe personal hygiene rules such as hand washing with running water and soap, and the use of hand sanitizers.
What you need to do to take care of yourself, limiting social contacts to the barest minimum, limiting travels to the ones that are critically essential.
He also called on the Benue people to verify any information on COVID-19 from relevant government officials to avoid spreading unverified information, especially on the social media. Dr. Ongbabo refuted the claim that Benue State University Teaching Hospital Makurdi, which has been designated as a treatment center in case of any reported case, does not have the appropriate facilities to handle the disease.
From here, you can go to the teaching hospital, you call the CMD. We had long before now, weeks ago, when we got the news that corona was already in Nigeria, we went there, identified the center, and we started the preparation.
The Commissioner expressed the hope that Benue State will stay safe from COVID-19 spread. In Makurdi, Bem Hanya, NTA News.
And for more reports on Nationwide, let's join our studio in Ibadan.
Thank you, Elizabeth, and a warm welcome to Ibadan. Prevention is better than cure is a slogan in the medical parlance, and as the world combats the coronavirus pandemic, Ifeoluwa Omoshule, who went round Ibadan metropolis, takes a look at the level of compliance to the federal government's directive on COVID-19.
The outbreak of the coronavirus in Nigeria, the federal government has issued a directive to all governmental, private and religious bodies to suspend activities in a bid to curb the spread of the virus in the country. Residents of Ibadan complying to this directive.
I got to the bank now, I realized that the gate was closed and they said we should be entering 5555.
We are doing our best to make sure we remain cautious so that we will not catch the virus. As I am now, I'm with a sanitizer.
Do the necessary things as instructed by the government. You sanitize yourself, you try to observe all the precautions.
A visit to some schools indicated that the level of compliance is on the high side as schools are under lock and key. Most popular roads in Ibadan city that are noted for constant vehicular movement are seen with low traffic. The disease has been specified to be preventive by staying hydrated, washing hands regularly, and keeping social distance of about 3 feet in Ibadan. Ifeoluwa Omoshile, NTA News.
And still on coronavirus disease, Kwara State government is taking more steps in the fight against COVID-19 with the launch of a Train the Trainers workshop on the control of coronavirus pandemic. Abdul Wahid Bibire reports that an isolation center has also been set up at Sobi Specialist Hospital.
The isolation center is within the premises of the Kwara State Specialist Hospital, Ilorin. It has male and female sections, laboratory for testing specimens, and other equipment to fight the spread of coronavirus pandemic.
But there are 3 types of patients that may be affected with COVID-19. There are those that most people can be kept at home, isolated or quarantined. But there are some that need oxygen or suction or any additional higher level of care. This is what the isolation center will do.
A training program on infection, prevention and control for health workers in the state is also ongoing as part of measures by government to contain the fast-spreading COVID-19.
We hope that by the end of the day, the knowledge gained during this training is going to be cascaded down so that many health workers will be trained.
If you have all the facilities on ground and you don't have the right personnel, you will fail. So we need the right personnel to do the job if we have any outbreak.
Ilorin does not have any reported case for now, and obviously, the government, or rather the only isolation center put in place, is not put to use at all. Abdulwahid Bibire, NTA News.
And that's it from Ibadan. Nationwide continues in Abuja after this time out.
Una no vex. Una never hear of coronavirus. Prevention is better pass cure. See this thing. Hand sanitizer. Now one way to take prevent coronavirus with that. See, another one we say we go wash our hands clean with soap and with water. Another one we say when we want sneeze, I mean we want cough. Oh yeah, may we dab together. Correct people. If you see say you get symptom of fever or difficulty in breathing, I beg, make you day your day, make you sit down. Nigeria, our culture they promote cleanliness. Let the celebration start.
This message is from NTA and NCAC.
We have 4 girls and 2 boys. Stephen is my younger brother. I was called on 8th of May that he had an accident. While he was on call, he came out to buy fruit that will sustain him to the next morning.
Glad to know you're still there. Let's now join Mahmoud Ibn Mohammed in Bauchi again, who will bring us up to speed about the governor's test results. Mahmoud, if you can hear me loud and clear, reports reaching us say the governor's result is out. Is it negative or positive?
Thank you, Studio. You know, the much expected, much awaited result of Governor Bala Mohammed's clinical test is out. You know, okay. I just received a call from the Senior Special Assistant on Media and Communication who confirmed to me that the outcome of the clinical test is positive.
Is he under supervised isolation as we speak?
Yeah, well, I cannot confirm that, but what I know is that his personal physician has been with him since he started the self-isolation.
Are there others being isolated around him?
Well, for the governor and his family, they've been in self-isolation since yesterday, and
okay.
His aides and other, people around him that were together with him on the aircraft also went into self-isolation.
All right.
And what the SSA media told me that the results for the family, all members of the family tested negative, and other aides of the governor, except that of the governor. That's the only result that tested positive.
All right. Mahmoud, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for the update.
Thank you.
Moving on, in compliance with the federal government's directive for the closure of schools as part of measures to curb further spread of coronavirus, the National Universities Commission has granted approval for all universities to be closed for a month. Consequently, the management of the University of Uyo has directed that the institution be closed. Udwak Etim completes the story.
Coronavirus pandemic has become a major concern to all Nigerians, including institutions of higher learning. University of Uyo is not left out as it has been closed for normal academic activities, as staff and students are advised to vacate the school and distance themselves from crowd, as this will help curb the spread of the virus.
National University Commissions gave directive to university on the order of the Federal Ministry of Education that all federal tertiary institutions should shut down so that we can keep away the number of people on campus.
The students say, although the break has disrupted the academic activities, they still need to adhere to the directive of the university management.
We were already on top of the game trying to preparing for the exams, only to hear from the school management that the school will be shut down, and then due to the situation we are facing in the country and the world at large, we are frustrated
The coronavirus is a disease which one must take precautionary measures so that you won't be infected. For example, we've been told to keep some meters away from persons and also to avoid close contacts, handshake.
The University of Uyo will be closed for a period of 1 month, commencing from Monday, 23rd March 2020. However, all staff on essential services, the university management says, will continue to perform their duties as scheduled. In Uyo, Uduak Etam, NTN News.
And here in Abuja, residents have been advised to inculcate personal hygiene as well as develop the culture of regular hand washing as a way of combating the spread of the dreaded COVID-19. The Minister of State, FCT, Ramatu Tijani Aliu, gave this advice at a community sensitization rally. Ifeanyi Izumba reports.
It is said that hand washing is the single most effective way to prevent the spread of diseases. FCT Minister of State Ramatu Tijani Aliu, represented by the General Manager FCT Water Board Engineer Aliu Ahmad, explained that the essence of the campaign was to raise awareness and educate communities on the danger of coronavirus.
We are going community by community to make sure that people are enlightened so that they can adhere to this campaign.
The Executive Director, Number 2 Initiative for a Healthy Environment, Fatih Abubakar, said the rally is a grassroots intervention to create awareness on the importance of hand washing.
We decided to come up with a way we can still reach the grassroots to sensitize them on the importance of washing their hands, most especially at this time that the world is facing the coronavirus pandemic. It will surprise you to know that a lot of people we have met in this community have not even heard of the coronavirus because they do not have access to television or internet. So such interventions, I feel, is very important.
The initiative to embark on community sensitization cannot be coming at a better time than now. FCT administration says all hands must be on deck to keep disease burden down and put the nation on the path to sustainable development. The rally was organized by the Number 2 Initiative for a Healthy Environment. In Abuja, Ifeanyi Izumba, NT News.
To intensify efforts in the fight against tuberculosis in Nigeria, experts are urging government at all levels to increase funding to help reduce the burden of the disease on patients and its effect on the economy. In this special report, Alika Opanachi Arua takes a look at tuberculosis awareness in Nigeria.
The World Tuberculosis Day is celebrated on March 24th every year to raise awareness on tuberculosis as well as reflect on the progress made so far in the fight against the disease. As Nigeria commemorates the day with the rest of the world, experts advocate more collaboration between the government and its partners to completely remove the challenges slowing down the progress of curbing the disease, as well as roll out cost-effective policy measures and interventions. Convener Stop Tuberculosis Partnership Nigeria, Professor Lovett Lonson of Zachlin Hospital, noted that tuberculosis has a close relationship with HIV. This, he says, makes it difficult to treat the disease most times without the benefits of early detection and if not reported on time. He, however, stated that tuberculosis can be treated and cured if patients seek treatment early and on time.
What is really wrong with TB at the moment are the missing cases. There are so many cases that are being missed, and those missing cases are infecting others. If we know that one TB case can infect 15 others within a year, you can imagine that if we have so many that we have not been able to pick up to treat, they continue to infect.
While highlighting some of the symptoms of tuberculosis, Dr. Dume Bertrand maintained that people between the ages of 14 and 44 are at higher risk of contracting the disease. He therefore emphasized the need for people to do away with all forms of stigmatization and seek medical treatment for coughs that last more than 2 weeks.
My key advice is actually that knowledge gap. If people should actually know what is TB, how it's transmitted, and TB is a treatable disease, then you will know that there is no issue around stigma. And TB can affect anybody, be it poor, be it the rich. And the good thing about tuberculosis is that once it's detected and you take your treatment for 6 months, you will be cured.
They stress the need for more awareness campaigns and programs to educate the public on the dangers of the disease, even if it involves going to the nooks and crannies of the country.
To me, it's another dreaded disease. People are shouting today about corona. You see the way I'm looking? Corona, people wearing nose masks, gloves and all that. But TB is worst. It kills more than this coronavirus. Corona is just a learner to what TB is doing. Now, I have a experience of a friend who I lost to TB, very good brother and friend of mine. But then the truth of it is that he had the TB, the preventive measures which were supposed to be taken by going for regular medical checkups and all that, regarding to that, he didn't take it serious.
Let's say it's just affecting the low class. That's why nobody's hearing about it. But if it's affecting the higher class of the higher class, people will hear more about it. So they really need to do more campaign, more publicity. The Ministry of Health, they really need to tell people.
The theme for the 2020 World Tuberculosis Day is It's Time. In Abuja, Alika Okwanachi, Arua, NT News.
Thank you, Alika. Next is Sports Update.
After weeks of speculations amid the coronavirus pandemic, Japan and the International Olympic Committee on Tuesday agreed to postpone Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games until the summer of 2021. The organizers, who say the one-year delay would also apply to the Tokyo Paralympic Games, add that the postponement will make it possible for athletes to play in the best condition and will make the event a safe and secure one for spectators.
It will give room for the pandemic, that is the COVID-19, for us to see whether by that time, hopefully by that time, it must have been reduced to the barest minimum. And I believe that this time around, the athletes who are the main actors in, as far as the Olympic game is concerned or sporting activity is concerned, will have been very in the right spirit of mind to compete.
And hopefully, I think Nigeria is going to do better with this, because we're going to sit back, and that is going to come after our National Sport Festival. And from there, we can also get more athletes to also represent Nigeria at the Olympics.
The Olympics have never been delayed, though they were cancelled altogether in 1916, 1940 and 1944 during the two world wars. Major Cold War boycotts also disrupted the Moscow and Los Angeles Games in 1980 and 1984. The postponement of Tokyo 2020 Olympics would be the first time in the 124-year modern history of the Games. With Sports Update, Kenan Ima Abodike, NTA News.
And Sports Update, hence nationwide today on the network service of the NTA. Thank you so much for being a part of it. Good evening.
Yes. One day as I did dab, they go. Now I see my neighbor on top electric pole. Don't be how my hold so. Before. So climb every day. Come on, electric bill. You not gree pay.
Waiting concern you for there. I beg you, come over here.
Okay, oh. I don't talk my own. As I dab reach house. Yay! Fire! Fire! My brand new flat screen.
Hold up.
Waiting concern you for there. I beg you, come over here.
Government property, now my property. If you don't come down now, I go report.
No be only report. Now report card.
Dab, 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 dab. Yes.
NTA International.
International, Africa's heritage.
Honesty, perseverance, a lot of patience are virtues that determine how well an individual will do in life. On today's episode of Executive Discuss, we are here to see and to meet an individual who practices and has lived by these very virtues. He has graciously allowed us into his space, though he's a bit on the elderly side, but he is a man that has made his mark in the world of business, not just in Nigeria, but across the frontiers of the West African sub-region. Please come with us as we get to meet our guest on Executive Discuss. I am Ololade Adeniji. Hello, sir.
It's a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you very much.
And welcome you to our little office.
Thank you, and thank you for allowing us into your space.
Thank you, too.
On this week's episode of Executive Discuss, I have with me a guest, somebody who we can describe as a man of humble beginnings, but who has risen through, the humility of his startup in life to make a name for himself. He has carved a niche for himself, and hardly would you go into any home that you will not find a mark of him, not just in Nigeria, but across the West African sub-region. He is the patriarch of the Adedoyin family, and he is the chairman of Doyin Group of Investments. Please join us as we make welcome Prince Samuel Adedoyin. How are you, sir?
How are you, Lalade?
Very well, thank you. Glad to have you on the show with us.
It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you, sir. Let's start from your story. You are a man of humble beginnings. I'm sure a lot of people will see you and they will say, yes, this is a very successful man. Perhaps for the sake of our viewers who do not know your story, can you tell us how it was for you growing up as a child?
When I start, I have to first of all start by thanking God for everything He has made out of me. I have a very humble beginning. I've only had standard for education, and I've never worked for anybody really in my life except for 1 week. All the rest is trial by error, and by the grace of God, I am where you find me now.
Yes, we know that you had a very minimal education, and well, going through your story, you started out being on your own probably from about the age of 11. You, from school, yes, you went into some bit of farming, and then you found yourself on your own. You even stowed away, as we would want to describe it. Can you tell us about that aspect of your life?
Well, the story about where I started from is that I'm from a very large family, 4 brothers who produced many children. And at that time, 70 years ago, they only chose to train one eldest child out of every woman. My sister was in Lagos with my father, so I'm the second boy. So I was lucky to have been chosen to go to school at that time. And the highest school in our area then, in our own town, was Standard 2. Iludo is a bit 11 kilometers away. I had school up to Standard 4, which I finished. And there's nowhere left to go. So I choose that since there's nowhere else to go, and that's how much they want to train each child. The school fees, of course, was 2 shillings per term, but not easy to be found.
It was big money.
So, yeah, I choose that I will throw away. And if I throw away, perhaps I will find somebody, because we used to receive the catalog of Leonard's shoes and so on, that I'll be able to gain scholarship in England and try to further my education. Unfortunately, we get to Takoradi in Ghana, and we were arrested. And we were about to be sent back to Nigeria, so I plead with the custom officer to please don't send me back, that I would like to work for him so as to retain me, because if I'm sent back, I don't know whether my father will not cut my head off. So he was kind enough to say, okay, be my steward, which I've never done before. I did it for a week, and they found me not wanting.
Wow.
So I plead that I've never done it before. Can you kindly free me? He agreed, he freed me. And I moved from Takoradi to Kumasi.
Still in Ghana?
Still in Ghana, from Kumasi to Accra. Then Nigerians are much more in Kumasi. So I'm trader for the kind of work I want to do, which is then called Worobo, was moving in Kumasi. I went back to Kumasi and started selling Worobo. And within 30 months, I'll be able to save 52 pounds. And with that 52 pounds, remembering my mother, who is almost unwanted by my father then, I choose I'll come back to take her from Nigeria back to Ghana. But when I went back to my village, which is Agbamu, told me that they said she has used me for juju, and she has made many promises and so on, and she has owed about 50 pounds. I was sympathy with her. I chose to give her all the money. Wow. So, give her the money to pay her promises and debts. I'm left with no choice than to become a farmer. That's how I became a farmer.
So you couldn't go back to Ghana?
No, I couldn't go back to Ghana. So left with nothing to do, I was going back to the family's farm. No real food to eat, so on Sunday I was looking for pawpaw and plantain, which naturally grew up then without planting. So I saw a disused cassava farm which I think the hunters during about December to January, they always burn to be able to catch bushmeat.
Okay.
So I saw that land that have been burnt, and it was so fast. So something came to my mind that if I grow maize here, perhaps it will grow. And it takes 4 days when you plant a maize to grow once there's rain. So I tried it, and the 4th day, it germinates and very green. So I think this would be a good farmland. So I decided to plant maize into all the areas, because there's
the entire land.
the entire land which was available. So about 2 weeks after I went back there, they were so green. And then it's always looked to leave about 3 or 4 maize on each plant area. So I removed the waste ones and then put sand on the 3 or 4 on each heaps. About a month when I went back, you can't believe how green the place was.
The place had turned.
Yeah. Then about 2 months, it started to bring in fruits. 2.5 months, you can't believe the maize, which, because it's a disused cassava land, is fertile. 7 of us are working our parents' farm. And when you look at what that maize farm is germinate and is producing more than what 7 of us are producing in the family farm, because that was land that they have been using several times, and there is no so that's how I did it. My father used to think I'm so lazy, I can't do anything, and so on. Then I believe that wisdom is stronger than power. So when I saw the yield, I'm thinking, where will I store it? Then where will I say that I've got the farm from? Exactly. So I pleaded with my father to follow me to the farm, which he grudgingly agreed to. When I got there and got him there and told him this is my farm, he wouldn't believe. So I borrowed area to store the maize, and we've quarreled over certain cloth with the Lagosians, but sometimes back that he said I'm lazy, I can't buy it. Oh, I sold the products for 54 pounds, and I took 2 pounds. I brought it to Ibadan myself, Orita Mary. Took 2 pounds out of the money. I bought suede shoes, Koro Adele. This is the word my father said I couldn't buy. Then I bought it. With 2 pounds, my suitcase is full.
Wow.
So I went back, I told them, this is Koro Adele, which you said Lagosians are using. And the other clothes I bought with suede shoes and so on. May I go back to Lagos? My mother pleaded that I shouldn't go back to Ghana. I promised that. So that's how I came to Lagos. It only helped my father.
The clothes?
I brought everything to Lagos.
Wow.
I've already matched my companion. I have better clothes now than them.
Of course.
So I came to Lagos. I rent a stall from forget the name now, Somoni. Okay. He was like Babaji Abuden, who always take him pools. So he's the one who always take bulls on horses. At Tafa Balewa, there were men also raised then. So I rent a stall there. Within about 2 years, I have a friend called Owokonela, where I moved to. I was able to go and have a shop in the Sumo Street. The Sumo Street, we started hawking. Within a year, I started ordering biro, pens, umbrella from Hong Kong and so on. And within the third year, I've bought a land. At the age of 19, I've built a 27. Already, at the age of 19, I owned a 27 bedrooms house in Moshi. Wow. And there, enjoyment started. I was able to buy a Volkswagen land. With one other, I was able to buy a house at £9,000 in the Sumo Street. That is how God started blessing me, to cut the story short and not to waste your time. That was how my humble beginning started.
You obviously have quite an interesting story here that you have shared with us. But as you were talking and I was looking at you, one thing that kept coming to my mind was this.